Okay, folks, you're not going to believe what I have in store for you today. Well, actually, maybe you are because it's in the title, but anyway, forget about that. Here's the deal. A few years ago, I wrote a blog. It became one of my more popular ones, and I invented a term. It was CTO, and it stood for Coelho Takeout. Fast forward a few years, started a bit of a YouTube project here, and who do I have on as the first guest? Bruno Coelho. Now, how did I pull this off, you may ask? Well, it wasn't cheap, let's put it that way. So I need your help. I need your help, folks. But it's easy. All you need to do is subscribe below. I'm not going to start this video until all of you watching right now click on the subscribe button and the bell. That's all I need. Because this was expensive. Getting Bruno on after the whole CTO incident, it was expensive. Please subscribe and we can move on. We can start the video. What if I had a goatee? You think I'm joking? I need you to subscribe. It's easy. It doesn't cost you anything. I still see a few of you that haven't subscribed. There we go! That didn't hurt, did it? Thanks a lot. Let's go to the video. Let's go and talk to Bruno, shall we? What's happening?
Hello. All good?
Okay, so we have to start with this. The public demands it. On a scale of 10 to infinity, how much do you hate me for the CTO thing?
So I don't really hate you
Okay,
for
good.
that thing because I think what you did was just take basic things, put all together and make a joke about it. But I think you didn't realize how big it was going to be. So, and then you continue with it, and it was where it stopped to the fun, and for me was bad in that time. Yeah.
So it blew up. It went RC viral.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, you came on here, so it's not all bad, is it? The bridge isn't completely destroyed.
No, I don't think so, because as I told you, I think you are an intelligent guy, you just use it on the wrong way. But everyone deserves a second chance, so I'm giving it to you.
Okay, I have a second chance. Better not screw this up now.
So yeah, but as I said, I didn't hate you. I think you make just jokes that for me, some are stupid, some are fun. And everything has a limit. And I think through the time you need to think maybe more and know where is the limit to stop. And I think if you understand it and if you change, for sure you will make good stuff for the RC. I believe on that.
I have a big problem with limits. So anyway, the idea today is talk about 10 scale off-road setup. And mostly we're going to talk about carpet setup because a bunch of people have asked me about that. And I don't really know much about it. And the reason is that I hate racing on carpet, so I never do. But you obviously a world champion in 10 scale four-wheel drive off-road on carpet and multiple EOS wins. I mean, how many times have you won the series?
4 times, I think.
Okay, so
Very
Bruno's
important.
pretty good on carpet, so he must know some stuff about setup. So we're going to get into that. But before that, I'd like to talk a bit about just driving in general. This is now for 10 scale off-road. So just the way you sort of think about what you're doing when you're driving. Or maybe you don't think about it in the moment, but if you have to explain to someone now how you approach driving. And if we just start with maybe the most important thing, which is corners, so cornering. So can you just explain the process of entering the corner, driving through the corner, and accelerating out? And now this for 10 scale four-wheel drive. So how do you use the throttle and brake?
So you mean on the carpet, you mean, right?
No, so I think we could start with dirt, because dirt is still the more sort of common surface, and
Okay.
then we see the difference going to carpet.
Okay. So yeah, on dirt is for me at least much more difficult to get used to it because you need to be super smooth, but sometimes you need to be super aggressive, you know. And for me, it's kind of difficult to realize when you need to be aggressive and when you need to be smooth, you know. So like in terms of the corner, I mean, if you have a dirt that you have a lot of traction, you cannot really just send the car into the corner. You know, you need to be smooth on the brake and then smooth on the steering, and then you can actually draw the line out of the corner, but always smooth. But when you have no traction, I mean, some drivers will get faster on the corners when it just send it and like sideways, you know, and can slide the car. It will make it much faster. I will drive it more smooth, you know. I will drive like try to brake smooth, to not lock the wheels, to steer smooth for the car to not slide a lot, you know, and try to be also smooth on the throttle so you can generate the most traction as possible exiting from the corner.
So does there tend to be a moment when you're coasting? So you are not on brake or not on throttle, you're just sort of observing what the car is doing before you
Sure.
get on throttle, or how do you do it?
Yeah, sure. There is okay. There are all kind of corners, you know, but like there are always a time that you are not on the throttle and not on the brake. But normally it's not a lot of time. It's just, you know, when you leave a little bit, but as soon as the car is, or as soon as I think you need always the throttle to control the car, you know, to make the steering react, you know, because as soon as you hit the throttle, the car will start to push for where the wheels are turned, you know. So I think you need always to have the throttle to start to get, you know, to not let the car lose the speed, you know. So you need always to generate that rotation. If
Okay,
you if
so
you
do you set your car up? Do you prefer to drive in a way where the car has a lot of steering off power or on power, or sort of very similar off and on power? How do you like to do that?
I like a lot the car with a lot of steering off power, but stable on power. So
Okay,
when I
so if your car is pushing, would you wait a bit longer for it to turn before you get on power?
yeah, like if my car is pushing, I'll for sure need to be more aggressive when I'm into the corner, you know. I need to send it for it to lose the rear so I can turn it faster, you know. So it's always a balance and you need to always to find out what's the best, you know. Like if you have no traction and your car is has a lot of steering, for sure it's very nervous. So you are always losing the rear and you lose a lot of time. So it's better if you have a car that is pushing a little bit so you are more round and you can generate more corner speed.
Yeah, okay. So I think one mistake that I tend to do myself, and I see many people do too, is they enter the corners too fast and then they lose
Yeah.
a lot of speed in the corner. So do you sort of pay attention to corner entry and maybe brake earlier than other drivers, or how do you do that? Or do you brake late but you just throw the car in the corner in within control? So what's
Yeah.
the right way
Normally
to do
I
that?
normally I tend to drive very like or like touring, you know, like braking straight and then steering and then smooth throttle and exiting the corner. But as soon as I see someone that gained a little bit of time, to me, when they just send the car to the corner like sideways and exiting, and I see that it can have some more time there, I will do the same way, because there is always, how can I explain? In off-road, it's difficult to say that there is always only one way to do it. There is sometimes one way that when you brake straight, you steer and then you exit smooth, it is fast. But there is also the way you just set it in completely sideways and you exit full throttle and you are the same fast. But the point here is to understand if you can do it always, or like when you send it to the corner, like 180, let's say, and you send it just like losing the rear and then making like drifting, let's say, and you make it perfect, and maybe you are 1/10 faster than if you brake straight and steer. But if you can do this during, let's say, 5 minutes, I don't believe you can do it always, the same exactly. Because after you will open too much, then you will close too much. Maybe if you tighten the curb, you flip immediately, and if you brake straight and you steer, your chance to make always the same is close to 95%, let's say, So it's just to understand what's the best thing to do, and the balance to say like the risk compensate the mistake you can have,
Okay, so your way of sort of doing it in control, braking earlier and having a lot of off power steering, so your entry speed can still be high to the corner, and then having a stable car on power is a safer way to still be fast.
Yeah, for me, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that was on dirt. So then when you go on these carpet tracks, they're really high bite. How does your driving change? Like before we go into the car setup, how do you change your driving?
The driving is of course completely different, and you already experienced that. The thing is, on a carpet, the car is so reactive to everything you do, like brake, throttle, steering is crazy. So you need to be super smooth on the steering, otherwise you flip all the time. And then you need to be very aggressive on throttle and brake, because actually you have the traction. I think you have close to 95% traction on the carpet, which is crazy, So you need always to be very aggressive and very hard on the throttle to to make as fast as you can, the exit from the corner. So basically, I drive off-road on the carpet like I drive touring. I just brake straight. When I steer, I don't steer full immediately. I steer just a little bit to see how it reacts, if the car is going to flip or not, And then yes, I full steer, to get just the if you full steer immediately, your car make this and maybe flips, But if you turn a little bit just to move the weight a little bit, and then when you full steer, your weight is already there. So then when you steer, you don't have all this movement, this aggressive movement, that can make your car roll. So basically, just to have this in mind, that you can never, at least with the new tires, you can never full steer. You need to have that timing, of a little bit of steering, your car rolls a little bit, and then full steering, and you can like turn it,
Okay,
so basically it's just this.
Yeah, so throttle and brake, when you say you're more aggressive, so you mean you make bigger movements, but you also make faster movements. So you pull the throttle faster to full throttle, or however much.
Yeah, we try to turn as much as possible the car to make it straight, because as you know, as you have so much traction, your car is diffing out almost all the time when you are on the corner and on throttle, like hard on the throttle. So you try to make your car as straight as possible to make straight line, like all the time straight, because you will get much more time, because your car is straight and you can put all traction on the track and you just move forward. So it's important to have a car with a lot of traction. So you need to make the corner super fast and then just push full throttle, almost full throttle, not immediately, but like very fast, and just move on.
And then with the steering, you said something interesting, because this is something that I also wrote in my Invisible Speed setup book that is coming out. It's the difference between initial grip and then the grip after the initial grip. So initially, when you turn in the corner, you said that you turn the steering smooth, because if you are aggressive initially, the car will flip over. And then you said that if you are smooth initially, the car will roll, and then you can turn more without the car flipping over. Did I understand correct that?
Yeah, sure.
And then you can even, so you even use full lock at that point, and it will be fine.
I mean, normally, yes, you need just to find out what's the timing of that, you know. As I said, it's changed a lot with the new tires or old tires. Like when I'm on the second time on the tires, this timing, I can make it faster, you know. So I don't need to have that stop timing. I just need to be smooth, you know. And on the third time tires, I just can full lock and no problem. The car will not flip, you know. It's just for you to understand where the point to do it, you know. So when I have new tires, I can never do this. I can never full steer. I will flip for sure. I'm sure of that, you know. So it's just to understand where is the timing, you know. But when you are on the qualify, I think you don't want to understand it. You just want to make sure that your car is not going to flip, you know. So you cannot really see where is the limit. You know, you can sometimes during the qualify, if you are a little bit more aggressive, you can see immediately your car on three wheels and it's a signal. So he's telling you, hey, keep calm, otherwise we are going to flip. But yeah, it changed a lot during the round and also during the first qualify, second qualify, third, because your tires start to break in.
So here we have an EOS race, and we could just talk a bit about some different sections of the track. So let's just watch a few laps first.
And here we go, amen. Number one, four-wheel drive. Hit the EOS at the Hootie Arena, presented by Team Associated.
So normally when you drive, do you have to sort of be a bit careful or afraid of flipping over? Like right there, you landed a bit crooked and you almost flipped.
Yeah. As I said, on the carpet you have so much traction that even on landing you need to be super careful. Like you need to land straight and without touching the steering, otherwise you are going to flip immediately. Because it's normal when your car lands, it bounces a little bit, you know. And as you have so much traction and your car wants to flip always, it's normal to, if you have a little bit of steering, it's going to flip immediately, you know.
Hey, are there CTOs in this video?
One. It's not this one. I cannot say was CTO. As you can see, like I was.
Oh no,
inside,
this was fair.
And as you see, check this picture, like the where you stop it. I have my wheels completely turned to the right side.
Yeah.
Because if I wanted to make it, as you say, CTO, I will turn my wheels like, I don't know, not 1 second up before, but a little bit before, I will turn my wheels left side, and I will just put him out. But it's not what really I want to do. So
I'll give you this one. See, inside, there was room. He should have let you have it.
Check now. But can you go a little bit backwards? Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you stop after I touch him a little bit after?
Okay. There you're going
Okay,
in.
a little bit more. Yeah.
Okay, there's an Art and Senna gap there. A bit more.
So as you see, my wheels are always turning right, right?
And you are in. So your front wheels are ahead of his rear wheel.
So and now check now. I continue with my wheels right. Wait, go. You can go a little bit more. I will always have my wheels turning right. You see?
Yeah, here you can see.
Always turning right to give him the space for the next corner, because next corner was this corner, right? So he was inside. And here, you see, I continue turning, you know, but he had just bad luck because we had the contact. You see, my wheels still turn right side.
Yeah.
So we had just bad luck because he touched my front wheel and his car jumped, you know. So I was just, you know.
Now I know why you picked this video. But I'll give you this one. This wasn't a CTO, okay?
But
I'm the CTO judge. This was fine.
No, this isn't
this isn't the point of this video, but I think this one was fine. It's a sort of racing incident. When you look back at it, yeah, he should have let you go because you had the inside, but it happened so quick that, yeah, sometimes you get unlucky. Let's talk about the end of the straight. Let's see if they film that. So the end of the straight is the kind of corner where I think driving plays a big role in how fast you can get around this sweeping corner, and also if you'll flip over. So this type of corner, where do you brake? where do you coast? Where do you get back on the throttle? How do you get back on the throttle? How do you keep the car sort of sucked down to the track, and how do you do that corner fast?
So I will say that I will brake. Where is the second banner of X-ray? You know,
Wait,
starting the
here?
second, yeah, right there. Yeah, I will brake
Yep.
there, strong. I will leave the brake maybe where is finished that banner.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. And then I will leave it just like without any throttle, any brake until the middle of the corner. So let's say a little bit behind the second white line you can see on the red tube. You have two lines.
So that section, that's where you are turning in smoothly.
Yeah, and then I will steer my wheels very smooth, because here it's very dangerous to just, flip. So I will brake there. Actually, I maybe brake a little bit later. Okay, I think I braked on the second banner actually. As you can see the car.
Let's try to go back a bit. So
Yeah, I think
maybe-
I brake on the, okay, maybe on the first banner is where I leave the throttle and change for the brake, I mean, it's so
Yeah.
fast that is the timing to go on the brake.
Yes.
And then I steer smooth, and maybe with a little bit of brake. But now I remove the brake for sure. Other way I will flip.
Okay. So yeah, like you said, brake in a straight line, let go of the brake as you smoothly turn into the corner.
Yeah.
And here in this section of the corner, there's no brake, no throttle, just steering.
No throttle, nothing. No. And
And you
now
are-
maybe on the white line, as I said, the second white line, I will start again on the throttle.
So
Smooth.
this section, now you've actually turned the wheel more, right?
Yeah,
Initially
now
going
I'm
smooth.
for sure full.
and
Yeah.
Now you're full.
And now, but I'm full, and maybe I'm full just for like half second, not even, it's just to turn the car, and then I need to go back again to like I don't know, 60% of steering.
Okay, so here
Like
you are
here I'm
already
on throttle
then
again. Yeah.
on the throttle, trying to accelerate in a straight line, I guess.
Yeah. I think for sure is, you see, as straight as possible, You see, like, as I said, I could go right side again to make the other corner better. But actually on 4-drive on the carpet, you have no advantage for that, because the car has so much traction and it diffs out so much, you see. I make everything tighted and not go even outside to get better angle for the next corner,
So on, would you then say that on carpet you drive to be fast, you drive more, maximizing the straight line acceleration and braking, then tight line around the corner, and then try to exit the corner as straight and as early as possible. And then on dirt, you open up the lines more. So you enter the corner wider, maintain your speed, and then maybe drift out on the exit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's why it's so different. Like in off-road, you need really to draw the line, to draw everything. Like all corner, you need to draw it to don't lose the speed, And I think on tool drive is even more important that you cannot lose the speed. As soon as you lose the speed, you lose everything, So you need to have a car. Actually, on dirt in tool drive, if you have no steering on the car, you are like 80% of the times faster, because your car doesn't stop. It just continues, like with the old speed.
Yeah, maintains the speed by itself without you having to affect it.
Yeah. And now what is changing the game on the carpet is that you are starting to have the cars that can have the steering without, or I can say you can start to draw the lines without the car diffing out and everything. Why we cannot do this? We cannot make the corners like on dirt, because the car start to diff out, because there's so much traction that you cannot really, make it flat, the car on the corner, So, and now what is changing the game is the platforms are improving so much that we are starting to have it, So we are stopping to drive point by point, and we are starting to really to draw the lines, let's say.
And that would be faster.
Yeah, for sure. Because driving point by point, you see how much time you need to lose to wait the car to turn to the other point and then go straight. Instead of just go out and make it faster and then go out again, like out in out.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Okay, let's see if there's something else about this track that we could talk about. before going to setup. One thing that I've always wondered is, so the jumps, because of the carpet, the traction is high, you make changes to the car that maybe aren't that good for the jumps. So is there something special about landing on carpet that you would like
Yeah, for
to?
sure. For sure. Like if you can go backwards a little bit, like on the
Which jump?
let's say that section immediately on the beginning that you have double here. Okay, here where I am, a little bit back. You see that to see that double. Okay, again, you can just start here and I will tell you to stop there. I don't know if they will follow my car. But where I am now, you see that double? Okay, this double
Here
into the corner. Yeah, into the corner. Here, it's like you can abort in two different ways. If you jump too long, you will need to land with the front and on brake. So your car will land with the front and immediately stay there, you know, because it has so much traction that your car will stay there immediately. Because if you land with the four wheels and you brake, your car make this and then make this. And if you steer a little bit, you flip immediately. You are out of the game. So you need to land it perfectly with the front and the brake, you know, and you need to have that timing of braking, you know. But if you land perfect on the landing, you can actually use throttle and brake immediately. So you get that going down from the jump on the throttle and then immediately brake for the corner. So there is two ways to tell me.
Yeah, so if you overjump and miss the landing completely, it's better to land on your front wheels a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then you can stop for the corner and
yeah, you stop for the corner and you avoid and you avoid the bounce and your car to flips because you will just, you know, bounce, like it will land on the front, you know, and just stop immediately there, you know, because if you land with four wheels, your car will bounce for sure because you are out of the landing, you know, you are completely on the flat spot.
Okay, so then let's talk a bit about the setup. I'm gonna share the screen again. Okay, so here we have your car from some EOS race, just an overview of it. Now, going from dirt to carpet, let's highlight first the biggest, sort of the first changes that you would make. So looking at this, for example, the drivetrain, X-Ray has a diff and a slipper. I guess you run slipper.
Slipper on the carpets and diff on the dirt. So for sure, the biggest change will be the diff in the middle. Softer diffs for sure, all around, like front and rear.
What would you say you run?
Like normally we run on the carpet, we run like 15, 20K. So for sure, for dirt, I will go like 8K, 10 maximum, depends on the traction.
Okay, so because grip on carpet, you go to thicker diff oils.
Yeah, and the slipper on the middle, of course.
Yeah. What about weight balance and weight and anything like that? Do you change?
Actually, on the weight balance, we don't change nothing. We just had for sure weight on the car to make it a little bit more heavy. We probably run the heavier body to make the car, you know, to roll a little bit more. Because on the carpet we don't need that roll, you know, because it makes the car just flip and is lazy on the left and right. So I'll go heavier body for sure, softer oils, softer springs. So just to make the car easier to drive for sure.
Okay, so carpet is then the opposite. So carpet, you go harder springs.
Yeah, harder springs, harder oil, harder oil on the diffs.
So how big of a difference? Like how many steps harder do you go on springs and oils? And
springs, I think springs is not really a lot. Is maybe from 3 dots to 4 dots, sometimes 5 dots. Also the sway bars, we go harder on the carpets. We use 1.8 normally, and on dirt we use 1.4. So so there are a lot of steps to make, but as I said, it depends a lot on the kind of grip you have on that dirt track.
So You go harder springs, harder oil. What about the piston? Do you run same piston on dirt and
We run the
carpet?
same. Yeah, normally we run the same, carpet and dirt.
What is it? 2 1.7?
Good question. Is the standard one? I have no idea. We run all the time I think it's 1.6 actually it's not 1.7.
Okay.
But we run the standard one that comes on the kit normally, so I
And
don't
what
really
about
know what is it.
what about droop? Do you change the down travel for carpet?
Yeah, on carpet, we use for sure less. I don't remember now in mind how much is it, but we use less for sure. We don't want so much travel, on the car to make this. We want it to be more flat,
Okay, and
and
ride
also the
height?
jumps are shorter. Ride height, yeah, as well. We run, and this is for sure a lot different. We run normally 11, 12 on the carpet, the ride height, and on dirt, I think we run like 16, 17. Sometimes we go 18, I think.
Okay, so that's a big difference. So
Yeah.
the roll bar is a big difference, going from 1.4 to 1.8. So much
Yeah.
harder roll bar. And then
Mhm.
ride height from 18, around 18, down to what did you say, 11?
11, yeah. It depends on the track. If the track has big jumps or small jumps, if there are almost no jumps, it will be super low, like 10, 11.
Okay.
Like the minimum we can go.
Before I changed the picture to talk about the front and rear end, but here the steering, do you change the Ackerman at all for carpet?
Sometimes we go on the plastic one instead of the aluminum to be more smooth on the steering. But as I said, it depends a lot on the track. If the track is tight or not, or if it's a big track. It depends a lot on many things. Sometimes we keep it, sometimes not.
But the locations, you just run the same location. You don't move to a different hole
Mm,
specifically for carpet.
yeah, on the carpet, normally we go back on the inside point. We go back to add less steering, let's say, less steering angle and smoother.
Okay. So I think when you go back, it adds Ackerman, I think. So do you feel that, for example, at the end of the straight there, you enter
Mhm.
smooth with the steering, then you add more steering for that corner. Is it
Yeah,
smoother to drive in that corner when you go back on the steering link?
yeah, for sure. You can be much more aggressive, and the car will not be so aggressive, let's say. So you can
Okay.
really turn it, and will not close a lot. It's a big step when you change it backwards and
Yeah.
to the front or in the back is a big difference. I remember one time I was driving with the buyer and Upo on the Renault we were testing,
Mhm.
and I had no steering compared to them, like in 180s, and I was like, "What is happening? I changed already everything, and I couldn't find the mistake." And suddenly I look to the to the plates, and I find out that mine was on the back, and they were using in the front.
Yeah.
So I just changed this, and it was really like half second faster. It was crazy, the difference. It's much more, how can I say, it's much more hard to drive, so the car is more aggressive, but then you can compensate it with the toe out. You just open a little bit more toe out, so the car is easier, but you have so much turning in the corner that is much better for sure.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me in 8 scale. So it's because when you move the link back on the Ackerman plate, then you basically have more Ackerman. So when the wheels turn, the inside turns more, and the outside
Yeah.
turns less. So the weight goes on the outside, so that's dominating. And when it turns less, then the steering, for example, there at the end of the straight, won't be so aggressive. You don't have as much steering mid corner. You can just turn the wheel more.
Yeah,
That
but
makes
also it creates more, like, normally on the carpet you flip more. So normally, like, when we have our customers, we tell them to run it on the back, because it's much easier to drive. So
yeah.
you don't flip so much, because
Yeah.
to explain this thing of you need to turn a little bit, wait the car, and then turn full. Explaining is easy, but to do it in so short time, when you like exiting, when you finish the straight and you are, I don't know, maybe 80 km/h, and you need to make it so fast
Yeah.
with the brake and everything, it's difficult to explain to a customer to do this. So if you just go back with that link, the car is so much easier to drive and avoids so many complicated things. It's slower for sure, that for us top drivers, we don't need. We need a faster car. It doesn't matter if it's difficult or not. You just want a faster car, you know. But
Yeah.
for sure, for a customer, this is a big step to go, like, to make it easier for them.
Yep.
How about new?
Okay, so there was one thing you said, which was about the ride height, that you
Yeah.
lower the ride height a lot. So then I have a question related to that. So after you lower the car a lot for carpet, do you change the upper links? So for example, on the inside or on the outside to compensate for the much lower ride height? So what I mean is, like, do you raise or do you lower this link on the tower or lower it on the hub, or what? Do you make any kind of change when you make that big change in ride height?
I think we don't change based it on the ride height. We change just based it on how the car will feel there on the track. I think we don't really, when we go there, when we go low, we think about that links, you know.
Do you ever change it then just for the handling of the car?
Yeah, we're just changing for the handling. Yeah, not really based on the ride height.
Okay, so when would you change the upper link on the front, for example?
Like on the front, the upper link inside, you mean, or
yeah,
doesn't
inside
matter?
or outside?
Like inside, I will change it. Like, imagine if my car is diving, you know, and when I'm on the corner and it's diving too much, and I can feel that is the front stopping the car, you know, and the rear is rotating because the front has too much grip, let's say, I would probably go up to have less camber gain, so the car wouldn't stop so much. So the car will have more corner speed. Basically, is the only thing I would change. Not based on the ride height, just on how the car feels on the track.
Okay, let's go over that again. I'm lost. So explain again what you do.
So basically, you have the links, right?
Yeah.
On the inside position, you have
Yep.
3 positions on that. Let's say it's on the middle position.
Yeah.
So if you're on the middle position inside, if you go down, as soon as you press, you have more camber gain, right?
Yes.
Or we have more camber, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Right or no?
Yes, that's right.
So if I'm driving and I feel my car when it's diving too much on the corner, and I feel the car is like having too much steering, let's say, and the rear is losing a lot.
Okay.
You know, and imagine if I have, tell me.
You mean that on corner entry, it's being too aggressive. So you turn and the weight goes to the front and it wants to sort of oversteer. It wants to spin the rear out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would go up with that link. So I had less camber gain. So the car should not stop so much and should have more corner speed through the corner.
Okay. And it has more corner speed through the corner because it enters it smoother.
Yeah, and also because I think you have less camber gain, so you have less camber, let's say, during the corner, so the car doesn't stop so much, you know, because you don't have the wheel doing this so much, you know.
Okay, so I do experience the same. If I raise the link on the front on the tower, then it will be much smoother to enter the corner. So it would be easier on high grip to enter the corner and maintain the balance of the car through the corner. So yeah, I would agree with that. What about, can you adjust length? You can't adjust the length of the upper link.
I don't think, even on the new car, I'm not sure if you can do it. On the rear, you can. On the front, I don't think. No, on the front, I think you have 2 spots. I think you can actually go longer. I think you have 2 holes. I need to double check.
So new one you can change, yeah.
So I think on the new one, I'm almost sure, I'm not 100% sure, but I think you have 2 spots. You have one more inside to make it longer, the link, and one more inside to make it shorter.
So then the C-hubs here, you have 12s on. Do you change the caster much at all?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, you change a lot depending on the tracks, but especially I will talk more about carpet because it's where I drive the most. On dirt, I don't really know about it, but on the carpet we change a lot depending on the track. Like if it's high speed track with a lot of corners, we will use less caster to have that camber, you know, that we talk about, so the car has more corner speed. It doesn't stop
Yeah.
so much. So we will probably go 9, 12. It depends. If it's a super tight track, we will use 12, so the car is more rotation through the corner, in 180s and everything. But if the track is kind of open, we need to use like 9.
Okay, so that's the opposite to what I would do in 8 scale.
Even in touring, it's like this. As much caster as you add, the car will stop more on the corner. So you will have more steering, but the car stops more because your wheels will just make this on the corner.
Yeah. Okay, I have to think about that. Then do you have like these double joints here?
Yeah.
So that is to reduce the vibration of the front end, right? It's smoother.
Yeah. On the steering.
Option parts.
Yeah, option parts. Yeah.
Do you run those on dirt also? You always run those?
I think I run it on the worlds, but I think on the dirt is not so important like on the carpet. I think it doesn't really, you cannot really feel a lot the effect of it, On the carpet you can really see the wheels like making weird things, But on the dirt, I think some guys using, some guys not.
So then sway bar we already covered. You go much thicker. What about the shock positions? Do you ever change the shock positions here on the arm?
Yeah, we do change only under. So sometimes when our car is flipping a lot, as you see, you can see on the wheels, you can see the glue on the sides.
Yep.
So when our car is flipping a lot and we are not able to make the car stay on the track on the 4 wheels, we move out, but on the arm, we move out the point. So the car will have a little bit less initial steering, so we will flip less, But then also is worse on the landings. Then, so
when you move out here, do you then readjust to keep the same droop?
Yeah.
So that you move out but keep the same droop.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Okay. So if your car is flipping over, you move the shock out.
I move out, out in the front, and then if it's not enough, also out in the rear.
Okay. What about the tower? Do you ever change this?
Tower, we never change. No, we never move. We use always the third hole, the middle hole. Sorry.
What about the front arm here? So you have pills in the A and B block. I think you can adjust height and angle. Yeah. So do you change that?
Use not really a lot. We only change in the rear. The front we keep almost the same hole here on the carpet, because as you know the carpet is the same. And so we use always, I think it's 1 up. So the arm is up. And I think we use this all year. Only in the rear we change to move with the towing, to change the towing, depending on the track.
Okay. So to just confirm, in the A block here and the B block behind the front arm, how do you have the pills? You have them both
Normally,
up?
I have the pills 1 up, yeah. Normally, I think, I'm almost sure in almost all setups we use 1 up in the middle.
Okay, and is that different than on dirt?
Yeah, on dirt we use down.
What's the reason for you moving them up on carpet?
So I think on the carpet, when we move it up, is to have the car more agile, left and right.
Okay, so more response.
Yeah. And on dirt, you want the car to have more traction and also more flatter, so we go down with the arms.
Okay. Anything else about the front end? Are there any other adjustments? What about the axle height? So you can move the hub up and down.
Yeah, you can move the hub up and down. We don't feel really big difference when we go up and down. I think actually we use it up, I think, because it has a little bit more steering, but I can't really tell you why.
Okay. So about the rear end, well, same question first about the upper link. Do you adjust the height on the tower of this link on carpet ever?
Normally, we never change this. We keep it always the same. That I think is on the middle hole. There are 3 holes on the middle hole, and I think it will have similar effect as in the front. So if you want your car to stop more or to be more freer on the rear, you change it. So if your car is losing a lot in the rear, you need to go down on the link. So it will get more camber, so your car will stop more on the rears, so it will not rotate so much through the rear. If you want your car to lose the rear, you just go up on the link, so you have less camber gain, and your car will lose more the rear.
Okay. And what about the length here on the hub? Do you change that?
We changed, yeah. But more on dirt. On the carpet, we never change it. We keep it all the time the same, almost all races. On the dirt, we change it, and honestly, I have no idea what it really changed on dirt. Let's say
Okay.
on the carpet, we try sometimes. It makes the car more. When you use long link, it makes the car more lazy. I think you have more corner speed, but your car is more lazy, left and right.
Which do you
And
prefer?
when you we use middle, so middle way, not shorter and not long, so on the middle way.
And then on the rear, so yes, you go up on the roll bar, you go up on springs. What about the shock positions? On the front of the arm, you have 2 holes also? Like
Yeah,
here?
we use the inside hole normally. As I said,
Okay.
only in the extreme, like when we are flipping a lot, is when we use it outside.
Okay. And how about on the tower?
And same all the time. It's the third hole or the second hole. Sorry, there are 3 holes. I think
Okay.
in the third hole. Yeah.
And then the hub height on the rear, do you change that a lot?
We change that sometimes. We also, I think we use it up normally. But I have no idea for what.
Okay, so up on carpet.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I need to check on the setup because I have really no idea where we use it and when we use it.
Yeah. Well, if I had to guess, then when you move it up, then it just makes the car more forgiving and reduces sort of just that initial grip. It makes it easier for the driver to make that initial turn in.
Okay.
So like
probably.
you said, when you turn in just a bit and wait for the car to roll a bit, that movement, it slows that down, so it smooths it out.
Okay.
That's my guess. Okay,
Probably.
and then so C and D blocks. So the angle of the arm, so anti-squat and toe-in. What do you do
Yeah.
here for carpet?
So for carpet, normally it depends a lot on what you need. You know, if you want more rotation, we are going to make the arms like this. So no anti-squat, pro squat, I think is the name.
Really,
so
you
the
run
arms
them
to the
the
front.
sort of wrong way. You run the
Sorry?
front of the arm lower than the rear.
Yeah. To have that more rotation, let's say. And the towing, it depends a lot on what you need. Like if you have a lot of rear traction, we reduce the towing to have more rotation to the corner. But if your car, like you feel your car is losing a little bit the rear, we are going to add towing to make the car more stable.
What would you say that is your most common setting for carpet for towing?
I think I use like 2 degrees. I think it's the minimum you can have on XB4. I think it's 2 or 1.5 towing in the rear. So it's like the arm is completely to the outside, let's say, and maybe flatter, no anti-squat, just to have like because we have way too much traction, you know, so we don't want the car to stop because of it has too much traction, you know.
Yeah.
So we are trying to make it flatter, and then on the dirt, of course, we use a lot of anti-squat, a lot of towing, like 3.5 maybe, to have the most traction as possible.
Yeah. So on dirt you have a lot of towing, a lot of anti-squat, and on carpet you have less towing and less anti-squat.
Yeah, right.
And you said pro squat even?
Sometimes if it's needed, like if you have really no steering and you need rotation from the rear, we sometimes use it, but this is really not really the case. I think we use very rarely.
Okay. And one thing I saw that on the new XB4 you have diff height adjustment.
Yeah.
Have you in some prototypes already been able to test this and run different diff heights?
We had some 3D parts that we tried, but as you know, 3D is not really 100% what we use. But we were for sure is the kind of thing that it can't go wrong, you know. Is the kind of thing that for sure you need to have the drive shaft always straight. And as you know, we changed from the 10 millimeter ride height to 17, 18, 20, depends, you know. So if then your drive shaft is changed so much, is not good, you know, that you want to have it straight as possible, to have the most traction as possible.
Yeah.
So, and I think it came to compensate this, and I think it couldn't go wrong, you know. It's the kind of thing that even if go wrong, you can stay on the same position as it was before when it was fixed. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure the diff height change is a really good setting tool. I think that on these cars you'll just find that you'll run the diff high on carpet.
yeah,
as
and
high
for
as
what
you
I
can.
talk with the buyer, like it changed so much the diff height comparing to dirt and to carpet, you know, and the difference was so much, you know. And then he was testing on the carpet and he was like changing just the diff height just to try, and it was so much different. And he said it was much better for sure if you can change this.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will be the same on these cars as on 8-scale buggies, because I can change the diff height on my car with the plates, carbon plates between the gearbox. Of course, you have to readjust the arm height then to match.
Yeah.
But the higher the diff is, the high diff makes the car so that it maintains more corner speed naturally. And on power, the car drives stiffer. So that's exactly what you need on carpet.
Yeah.
When you get on power, you want the car to, stay flat and square up and go, accelerate,
Yeah.
and that's what it does.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then on dirt, when it's loose and maybe when it gets bumpy, it's not as good. So maybe when you go lower diff on those conditions, then the suspension works more and the car is softer and more forgiving. So I agree. I think that's a really good change on the car, because then you can set it up to suit carpet and dirt better.
Yeah. Right.
What else do you have on the rear? Okay, so maybe like this instead. So we went over the main points there. What would you say are the most important things to look at when it comes to setup? So let's say you go to a new race, new EOS event, and you just aren't really comfortable. Something is off. What are the things that you change first? Are you so comfortable already that you just run the same setup always? Or do you sometimes end up in a situation where the layout is different, the speeds are different, and you have to change something?
So on the carpet, normally we run pretty the same setup. It depends, because I'm very how can I say, I'm very direct with myself. So I'm not the kind of driver that comes out from the driver's stand and just because I was flipping all the time, I would say my car was super bad. I'm the kind of driver that I'll come down from the stand and start to blame everything. I'm not that kind of driver. So when I come down and if I feel the car was okay and I was just doing many mistakes, I will say, okay, we keep the same setup. I want to drive again. I want to give a second chance. So yeah, basically is that.
So most of the time you keep the same setup, you just adjust your driving, or what?
Yeah, it's like if on the from the first hit to the second hit when it's a new track, I normally never change nothing. You know, just imagine if I was driving the car and the car was way too difficult to drive because the rear was too loose. Maybe to the next round I will maybe add a little bit of towing to make it more stable, you know, just to be able to know better the layout, you know, and not fighting with the car, you know, because you're already fighting with the layout because you don't know the layout. So you need to know it well. And only after you know it well, you can start to know what you need from the car. I think it's wrong to think that you need immediately to start to want something from the car when you don't even know what you need from the truck, you know, or you don't even know the truck, you know, so you don't know if you need a car to drive point by point or a car to drive like more, you know, with more corner speeds. So you need to learn more the truck to try to understand what you need for this truck, you know.
Yeah. So let's say that even after you learn the track, you have the problem that it's just too hard for you to get into the corners. You keep flipping over. What would be the first things that you would change?
On the carpet?
Yeah.
On the carpet, I will probably glue a little bit more the sides. I will probably remove a little bit of camber in front. I will maybe go
Remove
lower with the
camber.
car. Yeah, remove camber.
So yeah, stand up the tires more.
Yeah, and also you get more the glued part, you know.
Yeah.
So you don't really get. Maybe go lower with the car. It depends if there was many jumps, many big jumps. Sometimes you can have big jumps, but if you have a good landing point is no problem. You know, the problem is when you jump and you land on the flat area. This is very bad for when it's on EOS because our cars are so low that if you have a flat area to land, your car always, you know, bounces. So it will depend.
In that situation, how do you land better as a driver? Like, what do you do to land better then?
I will, if after I have a straight or a part of the track that I will need the throttle, I will land super strong on the throttle with the rear. So the car, imagine this is the ground, you know, I will push full throttle and I'm almost on the ground, so the car will hit like this and then just go. So if you land four wheels and you hit the throttle, your car will make this and this. So you need to land like this with like quite good amount of throttle, so the car make this and continues.
Okay, so let's say that you're at the track, at the race, your car feels fine, but you need a bit more speed. You don't feel that you can be faster by driving better, and someone is beating you. What would you look at changing on the car? Because it's already feeling good. You aren't flipping over. It doesn't feel like you don't have enough steering. You aren't losing the rear end. It's just speed. You're lacking some speed. Is there something that you would think about changing?
I will do like you think, and I will just wait for the finals and put him out. Easy.
Good city. I knew it. It almost took 1 hour until we got to that truth.
No, it's not true, and you know that. That's why I'm here today.
Okay, so what would you do?
I will. It depends a lot. I'm not the kind of guy I'm afraid. Really, even sometimes when I'm first, and I'm the second guy right behind me. Like imagine I'm first, but first by 0.001, let's say. I'm not the kind of guy that I will say, no, let's keep like that. No, I'm the kind of guy that I want more all the time, you know. I want to be faster and faster. So I will change. It depends now, because if I'm second and I'm slower than the other guy, it depends what I need in the car, you know. It depends if the car is not landing properly and I need to wait. You know, it depends if the car has no steering, no rotation, if he's losing too much to rear. It depends a lot on what is happening, you know. So as I said, I can give you many examples on many races. Like the races, I was flipping all the time, and I was fast, but I was flipping a lot. Then we went out on the shocks, like I told you before. We did, and the car was much better. So I was immediately much faster because I was able to force more the car. You know, I didn't need to wait the car. You know, it's like if it was going to flip or not. I just sent it, and the car was not flipping. You know, so there was another race that I was like on Astro, that all the time I land, my car was like bouncing again, you know, and I was not able to, you know, to land and go. I just need to land, wait the bounce, and then go. And you lose a lot of time in and of the lap because of that. So we just went harder on the shocks and on the springs, and the car was much better, you know. So it depends a lot on or of what you need. And I think the most important on the RC is not to know what you can do on the car or to know all about the car, is really to know what you need from the car and to understand what the car is doing. You know, because sometimes you feel like I have not, like I have too much steering, but maybe you have not too much steering, you have the rear loose. But you need to understand what you have. If you have too much steering or the rear loose, it's a big difference between those two, you know. So it's all the time difficult, and you need to make it, or you need to be fast to know what you need from the car.
Yeah, so it's important to sort of analyze your run after you've done it and really figure out where the car is lacking or where you can drive better. And instead of just sort of defaulting to, oh, it sucks, or I need something different, like sit down, think about it. What can you do
Yeah.
better as a driver? And not just like, I need more steering, but where do you need more steering? What kind of steering? Or do I just need less rear grip, and sort of figure it out that way? So what you're saying is, if you need some speed, there's always something that you can find by thinking about how the car is driving and finding a weakness or something where it could be faster.
Yeah, sure. You need to, like, after the rounds, you need to analyze what happened. Like you imagine you are in one qualify and you lose the rear in some point. So you need to still remember this thing that happened for after the rounds. Try to analyze it. What is happening. And maybe try to, like, you're losing the rear there. So after the round, you go to see other guys running, and if you see some guy doing the same as you can, from the outside, try to analyze what is happening on his car, because probably it's the same as happening in your car, and then try to do something for that to not happen. Like I would say on the worlds in the arena with my four-wheel drive, my car was stopping too much. I had the good steering, but I was not able to carry the speed on the sweepers compared to the Kota. The Kota was pretty fast on the sweepers, and my car was like driving more point by point. So I needed the car to be faster on that sweeper. And after the Worlds, we did it. Like I was testing when it was the ceremony after. I was with the Thai testing one setup that he did that was amazing. And was after the Worlds, they changed the links and everything, and the car was amazing. Like a lot of corner speed and still with the good steering. But as I felt it only on the finals when I had the Kota behind me, because when I was driving, I couldn't feel it. When I was driving alone on the qualify, because I was driving alone, so I was not able to compare to no one where I was slower or faster. And on the finals, as I had the Kota behind me, I could see where he was gaining a lot of time to me. So basically, it was all the time on the sweepers. He was much faster than me, and in 180s, I was a little bit faster than him.
Okay, you said that after the World you tested and you changed the links. So did you raise the links on the tower and make them longer?
I have no idea.
You don't know what you did?
No, because it was Thai that did it. Because also Thai had the same problem as me. So after, when I was on the Worlds on the dinner, and Gord came to me and say, Bruno, can you come here to test one thing? So we went to the wall from the track, where it was the track, and he just gave me the car to test, and I was testing with the Thai car. And the car was really amazing to drive, It's not to say like, it's because it's after the World. It's not, because it's really cool to feel the car was much better, because the car was not stopping on the sweepers. The car was making the sweeper perfectly. The car was not like losing the rear and then you need to remove steering and everything.
Okay, can we see it here, for example?
I will tell you where was the corner that I was losing a lot. I will tell you. Is the corner after the quads, I think. So it was this one. Now this one. Here, my car was always losing the rear during the corner. You can see that my car was much looser than the Kota car. His car had much more rear traction than mine. And that makes, you see again, I was driving point by point and not really, like round on the corners.
Yeah. So now we're coming up to that section you said it was difficult.
This one and the next one, this one here.
Yeah.
Here I was always like losing the rear and not able to make a round corner, But I only felt it when I had the Kota behind me, so because he was catching me so much there that I was able to understand it.
Yeah. When you were driving alone, you just drove that section a bit slower within the limits of what the car could do, and you didn't feel that it was bad.
Yeah, I was driving like the line. I think that was the correct speed for the car, So I was driving, I think, fast there, But when I saw him behind me and when I feel it behind me, I feel that, okay, so you can go even faster, but you only realize that when you have someone behind you or in front of you, so
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think we've pretty much covered this subject now. I had a bunch of people asking about carpet racing, so I think that this should be helpful for them. I hope so, at least. Basically, what I gathered from this was that you make the car lower, you make the suspension harder, so thicker oils, harder springs, and what you are trying to get from the car is the initial grip of the car to be lower, so that your smoothness as a driver doesn't have to be so precise. So like you said, the initial steering, you turn just a bit, and then once the car has settled into the corner, then you can turn more. You want to smooth that out with the setup.
Sure.
So those are the goals, I guess.
Yeah, I think the most important on the carpet is that point. The car needs to be smooth, but then you need to have the steering on the corner, So because normally when you make the car smoother and easier, the car then is slower, But what you want is the car to be smooth so you can be precise, because also the jumps are very important. Normally you need to jump very precisely, So you need to have the perfect steering. You cannot be too reactive, and you have so much traction that this is difficult to remove this reaction and the same point as the traction or the steering on the corner in 180 when you need it, so that's why we have all these big changes compared to dirt, because on dirt is it's not so important, these small details, I think.
Okay, so that's maybe my last question then. So which do you think setup matters more on carpet or more on dirt? If your car is a bit bad, is it worse if it's a bit bad on carpet or a bit bad on dirt?
I think on dirt it doesn't really matter a lot, let's say. So I would say that on dirt you can have the car a little bit slower. That is much more important a good driver than a good setup, I think. Because on the carpet you can be a super good driver, but if your car is flipping, it's has no steering, as I don't know, is like bouncing after the jumps, you cannot do nothing, because you are locked by this, And on the dirt, I think the driver can make so much difference, Like if the car is loose, he can manage it. It's just no problem, He's like, he just force a little bit more. It's more risky, but he can still manage it, But on the carpet, you are completely out of the game when you have the car like this. And you see the difference between the laps. On the dirt, the laps are like, it's a big gap between the laps, the good drivers and the bad. And on the carpet, we are so close, the lap time. So if your car is slow a little bit, you go back immediately. Even on the 5 minutes, our 5 minutes, we finish maybe separated by, I don't know, 10 seconds, maybe, I don't know, between all drivers. And on dirt is crazy. Sometimes it's 5 seconds between the first and the fifth, on the sixth, because there are so many mistakes, there are many things can happen,
Okay.
So
cool. Well, thanks a lot for coming on. And do you have any last words?
No.
Final words?
I think everything is okay. So I hope we go back to the track, because now with this pandemic situation is a shit situation for everyone. So I think I hope we go back to the track. I hope the people help the clubs in the moment, because in the moment, as we cannot drive or we cannot race international, we need to race on our clubs, and I think it's also very important for them to not die, let's say. And it's time to go back to the clubs, because many people have the thing that they only want to drive outside and international and these kind of things, and they forget about the clubs, And I think it's important in this moment to keep that clubs open, and to bring more people, to the sport. And I assist on that here in Portugal. Was crazy how many new people we had now with the pandemic, which was strange, So we had, like, on our club here in Portugal, we had 30 new members on the club, which is very good for us. And on this pandemic situation, So and it was nice. So now we have more and more people on the track. So I hope the people, start to help more the clubs and not really like waiting just for I will not drive only when it's international races. So let's help our clubs.
That's right. Grassroots efforts. Okay, cool. Thanks. Maybe we can do this again one day after you've
Sure.
driven the new full drive.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much.
Okay, remember I'm watching. Remember I'm watching. You've been good
But I
lately.
want you to watch. I want you to watch also the good stuff, not just the shitty
Yeah,
stuff.
I'll watch the good stuff. Just send me
Thank
those
you.
links.
I don't
Okay.
need because you also find out the other links, the bad ones, so you can find also the good ones.
Okay. I'll
So,
find them.
ciao. See you.
Ciao. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
So there we go. There we had the first guest on video, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I have to give it up to Lefty. Hosting a show like this is way harder than being a guest on one. I mean, I edited the video now, and yeah, I need some practice. It's not easy, actually. You have to kind of focus on what the person is saying and keep track and lead the conversation. Not very good at that. And as for the first guest that I had on this show, I specifically wanted it to be Bruno because I knew that he isn't afraid to share his opinion, speak his mind, and that's important for a format like this. And also, he's intelligent, so he knows what's going on. So I thought that he would be the perfect driver to have on first. And of course, credibility. World champion and such. Obviously, he's fast, so people should listen. And he also did mention that the whole CTO thing, even though you have to admit, that was a pretty funny blog. The thing is that joke kind of went RC viral, and it just went too far to where it actually affected his racing. So I would just like to apologize for that. That wasn't the intention. I highlight things that I think are important on some level. I make fun of them, and that's it. I don't. Yes, it is personal, but it's not something that it's like an immutable characteristic of that person. Like, I hate that person. No, there was an aspect of his racing I didn't agree with. He was arguably the best driver in the world, so I highlighted it. Did I want it to negatively affect his life? No, I wanted him to think about it and maybe change his ways. That's it. So any sort of other negative consequences of my joke, I apologize for that. It wasn't my intention. And one more thing. I think this says a lot about Bruno as a person. I mean, think about it. I did the whole CTO thing. He could have easily just said, you know what, this guy's a bellend. I'm not going to go on this guy's video. But he didn't. He came on the video and did it. Even though maybe he still thinks I'm a bellend. I don't know. But this is the thing. We can't all be best friends. We don't all agree on everything. But we can still work together. That's an important lesson, I think. That's how it should be. We don't have to perfectly agree on everything. We can have different opinions. We can disagree. We can argue. We can not even like each other. But if there's something that would benefit by us working together, I think we should do that. And this video isn't gonna change the world, but I think it's a good thing. It's a type of video that I haven't personally seen. If there was more videos like this, it could be a good thing. It's not gonna change the world, it's not gonna change RC, but it's a small part of heading in the right direction. I wish more people could be open-minded like this. Seriously. But I hope it was good. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something. And comment below. Comment below with your thoughts and also suggestions for other drivers I should have on, and also what the topic should be for that particular driver. I'd be curious to know what you think. And as for this video, then, there's 3 points that I'd like to go over. Because, like I said, I just edited the video. There were 3 really good things that Bruno said that I hope that you remember. So, the first thing that was interesting to note was that he really thinks about his driving, his inputs, and what he does, how he turns the wheel. He was saying that initial turning just a bit. So smooth initial turning, and once he can see that the car has transferred load to the outside, then he can turn more. So he's actively analyzing and thinking about the way he drives. Maybe not in the moment when he's driving, but he has thought about these things. And I think far too many people don't really think about the way they drive. They just drive. So that was good to note. And also, for example, he said that it's harder to race on dirt because you need different things in different corners. So let's say you have a track with 10 corners and 8 of them you're fine in, but then there are 2 corners that you struggle. And maybe one of those corners you need to turn the wheel just faster, like your car pushes there, but instead of just accepting that it pushes, just enter the corner aggressively, turn the wheel more, turn it aggressively, fast, throw the car in there and your car will rotate. Maybe the last corner is one where you lose the rear end, so you have to turn less. So then you apply that technique he said. So initially turn less and then turn more once you're in the corner. So this is something you need to do a bit more on dirt because traction levels are different and, you know, elevation changes and off camber and all of this stuff. So you have to really analyze your inputs as a driver to get the most out of the car in each section of the track. So that's important to remember. And then finally, he said something about the fact that sometimes if you struggle in one section of the track, you have to remember it. You have to sort of remember your run and remember where you had issues and then think about it after the race and try to figure out what you can do better there. Maybe change something on the car or your driving. And he said to go and watch that section and maybe you can see another driver, another car have the same kind of trouble in that section. And by looking at that car, maybe you can see what's happening. What, like, is it just a bump in the track that someone hits and it does the same thing as your car? So maybe you have to change your line there. Or maybe it's something where you can tell that, okay, so when you're heavy on the brake, it looks like the rear end is coming around in this section, and you can try to figure out a way to fix it for your own car by looking at others. So I thought those were interesting points that he brought up. But anyway, like I said, I hope you like this format. I'm gonna try and get some other drivers on and talk about different aspects of racing, driving, setup, and like I said, comment below and hopefully I can get those drivers on the show. Okay, so have a good weekend. I wish I was going racing, but it's negative degrees out there right now in Celsius, so that's not going to happen. I don't know when I can travel somewhere to drive 8 scale again, but I guess in the meantime you'll have some videos to watch. See ya.